Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. I've got a follow-up story for you today on that little boy that was killed this morning in a rubbish bin. Really sad story. We're going to look at a Channel 9 news report, and I'll stop it so I don't get into trouble. Because it's answered, there's lots of questions now to be asked about what they were doing in there, why they felt the need to be in the bin, why they were sleeping there, and the driver of the truck was traumatized. He had to go to hospital. He's a mess. Their family's a mess. They've named the boy. One of the boys got out and tried to alert the driver, but by the time the driver realized that there was a kid on his truck, it was too late. The other thing is really interesting is that the police do acknowledge there's a homeless problem, that they weren't aware of any kids that were sleeping rough. But let's look at the news story. The news report will give us a little bit, tells us a little bit about the family and the kids. So this is from the Sydney Morning Herald website, and they've put in here the 9 News bulletin. So let's have a look at this.
His friends were there. The community's sadness extending to why the children felt the need to sleep there in the first place.
Spencer Benbolt Jr. was from a large and close-knit West Coast family who today came together to grieve him far too young.
Spencer always had a close relationship with his parents, brothers and grandmothers, who he loved and adored.
His auntie reading a statement on their behalf hours after they learned the 13-year-old, called Butter, had died in the most unimaginable way.
He was a young man with a big outlook on life. He loved hunting, fishing, camping. He was a cheeky young boy who had a big imagination.
Spencer was sleeping alongside 2 other boys in an industrial bin in the middle of Port Lincoln when the morning collection arrived around 5:30. One boy jumped free and tried banging frantically on the truck driver's door, but it was too late. His mates had already been tipped out, one remarkably unscathed. But
that's amazing how one was unscathed, the other one won. So if you actually have a look, I don't know how they do them, the industrials are done in where you are from. So essentially the arms of the truck lift up and it takes the bin all the way over the top, and the lids open up and it goes in through the top of the bin here. And then it comes back down, puts the bin back on the floor, and then it reverses out. So that's how the bins work here. So I don't know if they're standardized. So I don't want to make that assumption, but it's a tragic story.
But Spencer was critically hurt.
For those first responders dealing with a young child who suffered significant trauma and not being able to save their life after a lot of effort has gone into attempting to revive this child, it's going to be very difficult for them.
One of the other boys running home to his own foster family nearby, breaking the news.
It's really hard hearing that my cousin had been killed by a truck.
Spencer wasn't a foster child, but he'd been drifting in and out of home, his mother posting a worried plea to find him when he went missing at one point early last month. More recently, he'd been staying with friends who gathered at the site today.
We let him have a sleepover and stuff, but he had nowhere else to go.
Other Port Lincoln residents saddened that children within their community were resorting to sleeping in a bin. The other 2 boys were just 12 and 11.
Oh, I felt very sad when I saw it this morning and when I heard what was happening. They just didn't like it in the foster homes and stuff, from what I knew.
Clearly they're traumatised by what's occurred, and it's going to take some time to get a more detailed story from them.
Doesn't that just break your heart? Doesn't that just break your heart? That for whatever reason, they couldn't be home. I'm starting to get really emotional with this story. That the children felt that they had to go sleep in a rubbish bin for safety, and it wasn't safe. Wow. Hey, to everybody, if you're watching this from Port Lincoln, thoughts and prayers are with you. And we do have an issue in Australia with homelessness. And we do have an issue I just feel for everybody involved. So that's the update. So I'm sorry to give you such bad and sad news. So there is a live, there is like a live, I don't know what this is going to be. But yeah, my heart's breaking at the moment.
The truck driver was incredibly shaken by what happened and was taken to hospital to be checked over. Now, SafeWork SA was on scene here today. It's conducting its own investigation into what happened. Meanwhile, police say why the boys were sleeping in a bin in the first place will form part of its investigation. A report will be prepared for the coroner. Brenton.
So there you go.
A family is tonight heartbroken, and a community.
So there you go. There is.
There is.
Oops. There you go. So the police have to work out why they were there in the first place. 11, 12, and 13-year-old boys decided it was safer to sleep in a bin than either in their homes. Although one was a foster child and went running home to the foster parent and obviously ran home and told them. So I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to speculate about the system. I'm not going to speculate about the homes the kids have come from, other than to say it's horrifyingly sad. And I just hope that we can get some answers and find out why those kids were in that bin in the first place. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.